In the quiet spots of Cody, Wyoming, people still talk softly about the saddest wedding in the area's past. It happened on a sunny summer morning when the bells in the small white church rang for a bride who lost her husband before the day ended. Some say the ground shook right when Eliza Thorne kissed her new husband. They say the wind stopped, like the land was waiting quietly, and they promised that the horse, taking her husband away just 1 hour later, cried out like it saw danger coming. No one remembers the husband's name now, but everyone in Cody remembers the bride, the unlucky bride, the woman who brought bad luck to her wedding day. Eliza Thorne. She was 24. She spoke softly, with kind hands that once wanted to make clothes for kids she hoped to have. Her brown eyes looked shy, like they were scared of a world that judged her fast. But after the sad event that night, her eyes changed. They became quiet, heavy, full of pain. People stayed away from her shadow on the street. Some said her first love from Idaho died from sickness the same week he gave her a ring. Another man who liked her fell off his horse during a cow drive. It was not her fault, but in small towns, people see patterns, even if it's just fear and talk. They crossed the wooden walk to avoid seeing her face. The women said she was a sign from God. The men joked that living with her was a quick way to die young. The worst was that Eliza heard it all. Every soft word, every mean breath, every time they called her the bride of bad luck. Cody was a small town between dirt and strong feelings. Stories spread faster than horses. Her sad story became fun for others. Her hurt became jokes for men drinking too much at the Irma Hotel. Kids looked at her door and ran away yelling for good luck. Neighbors left food on her steps but would not knock. Even the preacher who did her wedding talked to her only through half-open doors. Only one man never laughed at her bad luck. He was older, with gray hair, lines from the sun, and the calm way of someone who lived through many hard times without talking much. Jack Harlan, the ranch owner whose land went far past Cody, like a big area of dirt and cows. He never ran from Eliza, never feared her bad luck, never treated her like a ghost in her own life. When she walked through town with her basket of food, he tipped his hat with respect. When others moved away in dislike, he moved with kindness. He was the only warm person left in a place that had already judged her to death. But even Jack felt the bad feeling in the air that summer. Something was changing. Something scary was watching Eliza from dark spots in windows. Something that wanted to hurt. And as the sun went down behind the hills that evening, Eliza felt it too. A quiet voice under her skin, saying her life would change again. But this time, the fear was bigger than her old bad luck. If a new wife can lose her husband in one night, what else can she lose when another man comes into her life? That evening felt very heavy. The sky over Cody turned the color of a fire dying out, the kind that warms of trouble even when the air is still. Eliza went into the Irma Hotel to get things for dinner, hoping no one would see her come and go. People were still talking about her bad luck, and she was tired of eyes that wanted space. But trouble came fast. Roy Baxter was there, leaning on the bar with a drink. He saw her the second she walked in. His smile grew slow across his face, like a hand tied around her chest. The room started with small laughs before he spoke. Roy said loud so all could hear. He said he would spend the night with Eliza, test her bad luck himself, see if death really came with her in bed. He wanted to be the first to know. Men laughed into their drinks. Women acted like they did not hear, but they leaned closer. Eliza felt her stomach turn like a rope in a storm. Then a chair scraped on the floor. Jack Harlan stood up.
He walked to Roy with a calm that scared people more than yelling. Before Roy could say more, one punch hit his jaw. Roy fell like a bag of feed, arms out, drink spilling on the floor. The room went quiet, except for Eliza's small breath out. Jack looked down at Roy and said in his steady voice that this was the last warning. Then he went out, got on his brown horse, and rode to his ranch before the sun was gone. The sheriff helped Roy up. The man's eyes were full of mad that had no good place to go. He stared at Eliza with a look she knew too well. He would come after her. He would wait until Jack was too far to help. Fear can make a woman brave in new ways. Eliza went out the back door, heart beating hard, and ran to the stables behind the hotel. She took the reins of the first horse she saw and rode fast out of town. Dust flew behind her like a path of worry. The sky was getting dark. The open land was big and empty. Somewhere ahead she knew Jack would be checking his fences before night. She made the horse go faster, needing to find the only man who ever stood between her and meanness. But she did not know that when she got to him, everything in her life would turn, break, and start something no one in Cody would forget. Words that would change both their lives forever. What would make an unlucky bride look a ranch owner in the eyes and say something no smart woman should say? Jack caught Eliza before she fell to the ground, but the fall left them close in a way no one in Cody would believe. Her hands on his chest, her breath shaken, her face just inches from his. For a moment that felt too long to be by chance, she just looked at him. Then the words she did not mean to say came out. "Tonight, you have to sleep with me." Jack stopped like a man in a sudden storm. It was not want that stopped him. It was the scared shake in her voice, the kind a woman has when she feels chased. He held her shoulders soft and helped her stand. "Eliza, you do not know what you are asking." Her voice broke. "If someone has to die for living under my roof, I want it to be my choice, not his." The way she said his made Jack's jaw tight. He knew who she meant. He looked around the open land, the soft dark coming over the grass, and he saw she had no place left to go. Her home was not safe, the town was not safe, and Roy was out there somewhere with anger hotter than strong drink on an empty stomach. Jack let out a slow breath. "Come on now, you will stay at my ranch tonight." She shook her head. "That is not what I meant." "I know." He lifted her onto his horse. "Which is why we do it my way. You get the bed, I take the chair. Nothing happens unless you say it again in the morning." The ride back to the ranch was quieter than the night. Eliza held the front of the saddle tight, trying not to fall apart. Jack rode behind her, steady like an old tree, leading the horse through the dark. Harlan Ranch shone soft under lamplight when they got there. It felt warm, used, safe. Eliza went inside and felt something she had not felt in months, a door closing behind her without fear. Jack made her tea, cooked a small dinner, and sat across from her like a man who knew quiet better than talk. She waited for him to ask something that would make her shy, or to talk about what she said before.
He never did. Not one word. When she went to the guest room, she saw him sit in the old chair outside her door, boots still on, hat pulled low, like he was watching the hall like a good dog. And in that moment, she knew something the town would never believe. The only man brave enough to face her bad luck was also the only man kind enough not to touch her at all. But Cody was about to turn this quiet night into a big storm by morning. Rumors spread fast. In the dark, they spread even faster. Before we go on, take a drink of your tea and get comfortable.
Tell me what time it is where you are and where you are listening from. And if you like stories like this, hit subscribe so I can keep telling them to you. The sun had just started to warm the ranch when Jack helped Eliza onto his horse and rode with her into Cody. He went slow and steady right through the middle of town, like he was daring anyone to say one more word about bad luck. People stared like they saw a ghost riding with a hero. Eliza tried to hold her head high, but all those eyes felt like a heavy blanket on her. Inside the Irma Hotel, coffee cups stopped halfway up. On the wooden walk, old men stopped rocking in their chairs. Someone even dropped a loaf of bread right in the dirt. Every person there thought the same thing. The unlucky bride stayed the night with Jack Harlan, and Jack Harlan was still alive. But not everyone took it calm. Roy Baxter pushed through the people with a face that looked ready to break. His jaw still hurt from Jack's punch. His pride hurt even more. He walked right up to Jack, full of himself like a bird ready for a fight he could not win. "You trying to take what is mine?" Jack did not even blink. "She was never yours at all." The sheriff stepped in, but Roy pushed his hand away, then pointed at Eliza with a laugh that made people move their feet. "Look at her. Anyone who sleeps next to her ends up in the ground." He leaned closer. "Maybe tonight it is your turn, old man." Jack moved so fast the crowd hardly saw it. He pulled Eliza behind him and told Roy this was his last chance to keep his teeth. The sheriff had enough and said Roy must calm down or sleep in jail. Roy spit at Bert and walked away mad, but no one missed the way he looked back at Eliza. It was the kind of look a wolf gives when it knows the guard dog will not watch forever. Later that afternoon, Jack and Eliza rode out of town with a wagon full of things they needed. The sun went low, making the sky soft orange. They got to the edge of the Shoshone River, a quiet place where the water talked soft against the rocks. Jack stopped to check the wheel. Eliza got down to get water. That is when the bushes moved. A branch broke, and Roy Baxter came out with a gun in his hand and a smile that made the river feel cold. His eyes were clear now, not drunk anymore, full of anger that burned away the drink. Jack turned first. Eliza froze. Roy raised the gun. Time felt thick and slow. And in that small moment, the question hung in the air like smoke. What happens when the man who fears her bad luck the most decides he would rather kill than be wrong? Roy raised his gun first, but Jack moved before fear could even start in Eliza's heart. He stepped right in front of her, standing strong like a man who thought her safe was worth more than his life. The shot broke the air, loud across the Shoshone River. But Roy had drunk all night before, and the bullet missed, hitting a tree trunk instead of a body. Jack jumped forward, grabbed Roy's hand, and twisted hard. The gun fell to the dirt. The two men fought, rolling near the river, boots kicking up dust and rocks. Roy fought like a scared animal, but Jack fought like a man who had something new to live for. Eliza did not hide. She picked up the gun and pointed it with both hands shaken, but steady enough to make Roy stop for a second. Jack held him down, breathing hard, sweat on his gray hair. A small cut on Jack's arm let out a line of blood. It showed the fight was closer than anyone far away would think. The sheriff came soon after, called by a worker who followed the wagon. It took one look for him to pull Roy up and put chains on him. Roy yelled he would come back.
He yelled Eliza would bring bad luck to the whole town, but no one believed him now. The fear had turned back on the man who made it. When Roy was taken away, Eliza dropped the gun and knelt by Jack. Weeks became months, and Jack never got sick, never had an accident, never had the end people thought. The cows had strong babies, the ranch stayed full of work, and Eliza helped with the books and the food. Slowly, a bit awkward at first, the people of Cody saw that death did not follow her. Life did. Jack held her hands and said one soft thing that opened her heart. You are not unlucky. You are just alone. Let me fix that. The wedding happened by the water months later. The same river that once had a scary moment now had a peaceful one. The air was warm, the sky gentle, and the town of Cody, which once said Eliza brought death, now came to see her carry flowers down the path. Jack stood waiting, tall and proud, alive. Every step Eliza took to him felt like getting back a part of life she was not allowed before. People talked softly again, but this time it was good. They said she brought a kindness the ranch needed. They said maybe she was never unlucky. Maybe she just needed one brave person to believe in her so she could believe in herself. And that is the heart of this story. Sometimes the world gives you a bad name. Sometimes people decide who you are before you can say. But being brave can start with one choice. Eliza chose to run. Jack chose to stay put. And together they made a life stronger than fear. Now let me ask you, if you were by the river that day, would you step up to help her or step back and believe the talk? If this story touched you, give it a like so more people can hear it. And if you like these quiet times together, make sure to subscribe so you do not miss the next story. Now take a breath, drink your tea, and tell me what time it is where you are and where you are listening from.